Welcome. Najma. Hi.
Hi, Isaac. Hello.
Hi.
Put you on a bigger screen. Yes. Actually, I feel a bit in trouble. It's like the last days, suddenly again, it seems all the time I do have a choice whether to go with the old patterns, like spacing out, getting away from what's there, and knowing that it doesn't lead anywhere, and still choosing, say addictive behavior or whatever you want to call it, evasive behavior.
My sense is, like it looks like that on the surface, Najma.
Feels like a choice, yeah.
It feels like a choice. It's like, and within that way of looking at things, it feels like there's a chooser. They go hand in hand. And so then once you've got a chooser and you've got choice, and a choice happens that doesn't make any sense, then it's really strange. I mean, what to do? It's like somehow something's happening, and it's, as much as you think there's a chooser and a choice, it goes in that direction anyway. John Lennon, I love it. I love this line. Life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans. There's this whole idea in our culture that there's someone here that has doership. Like right now, trillions of cells, all doing unbelievably complicated stuff. Trillions. The universe is universing. Chemicals, I mean, so much is going on in these bodily things. And there's a little activity that goes, should I have a cappuccino or a latte, that thinks it's running the whole show. It's it's so funny. It's really.
Yeah.
So we can look for, so we can look, there is a sense of I in most people, unless dementia has happened or Alzheimer's or something else. There's a sense of I. That sense of I is not continuous. When we go to deep sleep, it disappears. And then waking up happens. And sometimes for a brief moment, there's just a sense of consciousness, or, like the senses have woken up. And then an activity starts up. Where am I? What's going on? What's on my agenda? What do I have to do? How am I feeling? I mean, that cycle of thoughts. And that cycle of thoughts produces some sense of context, some sense of a me that's relational to my life. If that doesn't come in, there's silence, there's peace, there's beauty. But so that, and that, all of that the cornerstone is memory. If there's no memory,
Mm,
none of that makes any sense at all. That's why in Alzheimer's and dementia, you know, memory's gone. So there's just like
mm,
what's left is like a 2-year-old or something, or even younger, just a baby.
mm,
Yeah. And memory. So memory, how accurate is memory? And with that whole activity, there comes some sense of a me and some sense of I know what's going on and some sense of a chooser and all of that stuff. And when life looks through that whole sense of a me and a chooser, and then what comes up is blame, shame, and guilt, and
mm,
there's something wrong with me. I mean, the whole movie comes up. It's all predicated. So what I can see is life is happening and it's doing its thing, and there's a sense of doership that very rarely gets explored or examined in detail, and really seeing, okay, like, you know, we've looked at it, but it's one of those things we can look at it and you can have a momentary seeing, like breathing. Who's doing it? We say I'm breathing, but really it's just happening. And the same thing with thinking. And the same thing
and
with choosing. But without ever the question of who's actually doing that.
mm,
How does it happen? Somehow, you know, how does it happen? You're sitting there and a thought comes in your mind to do something. Where the hell did that thought come from? Out
yeah.
of the blue, it comes.
Mm,
And then, you know, like another thought on top, well, should I do it now or later or whatever? I mean, these are all just patterns playing that they just, you know, do their thing. And in it, there appears like there's someone that's separate to totality that's choosing. But it's a mirage. I mean, in my view, it's not true. It's just
after the retreat, it was often not there, this sense of I, or
yeah,
there
exactly.
was a lot
And
of
again,
just
the,
happening, and
there's
now it,
nobody that can do that. Even there's no one that can do that. It just, you know, like what happens is it gets quiet and that just disappears, and then
yeah,
somehow something gets triggered again or touched again, and then old activities start up again, and it seems like there's an eye there again. So
yeah,
just to see
yeah,
it for what it is. It's not something you do. It doesn't mean anything about you. It's just activities.
yeah,
Oftentimes, you know, the momentum of who knows how many generations or of old
mm,
information.
yeah.
So
I
the
feel
sense
my,
of, the sense of doership is so prevalent in our culture. You know, I'm the doer.
mm, mm. And I notice my body is way more quiet in talking with you,
Yeah, yeah,
or
exactly.
in this exchange, more quiet than
Yeah,
before even, or more
exactly.
relaxed.
Yeah.
That's a consolation or comforting that somehow I'm
Yeah.
not owned completely away or it. Now, yeah, anyway, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Najma.
Thank you
Yeah.
for explaining it again. Yeah,
Yeah, with pleasure. You know,
yeah,
it's like it's one of these
yeah,
things you know, we were brought up within a certain context. Yeah, that,
yeah.
you know, it's like this whole idea of choice. But you know, you watch
Mm,
different interests come. Some people have an interest in being artists, or some people have an interest in being, you know, whatever.
mm,
And
mm,
if you look, if they did they choose that, or did somehow it choose them, or how do you explain it? Just that goes on, you know. Some people are interested in shamanism, some people are interested in tantra. So these different interests come. Some people are interested in being
mm.
accountants. I mean, it's just like, you know.
Mm.
So where do these interests come from? How do they happen? How does orientation happen? You know, it's just like,
Yeah.
some people are interested in people of the same sex. Some people are interested in people of another sex. Some people are interested in both. I mean, it's just like all of that stuff seems to happen, yeah. Some people have an interest in multiple lovers. Some people have no interest. I mean, it's just, there's such a wide variety. It just, life does what it wants. It seems to me anyway.
Now such sweetness comes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
yeah.
Yeah, cool. Love, peace, beauty. Thanks, Lajma.
Thank you.
Yeah, I watched a movie last night, an old one that I loved called Nowhere in Africa, and it's a story of this Jewish couple. This guy was a lawyer, and he saw what was coming in Germany, so he left Germany and went to Kenya, out in the country in Kenya, and he sent for his wife to come over, and they were from a wealthy family in Germany, and he wrote to her and says, please, we don't need China, we don't need all the stuff here, we just need kerosene lamps, we need an ice box. And she arrives in Africa from a completely different culture and world, and it's basic, it's just so basic. But over time, she just falls in love with it. It's just like something opens up in her, and and her child growing up with these, like there's an African guy that cooks for them, but she just has this connection with him like family. It's just so beautiful, and she learns the language. Such a different orientation. It's like the way we decorate our homes. You see how the Africans decorate their homes. It's such just different conditioning. There was one scene in the movie that, like, this German woman, the wife, comes home and she sees an old lady laying underneath a tree to die. And that's the custom there, that when it's your time to die, you go under the tree and let the hyenas take you. But she just freaked out around it and insisted that they take her home and take care of her. And the people saying, you don't understand. If she dies in the house, that house we can't use it anymore. So everybody here, when they know it's their time to die, they go outside. It's even if you insist that they take her home, they'll bring her outside again, because she knows it's her time and she's waiting to go. Such a different way of relating to life. Anyway. But just following on, that conversation about doership, if we look in this moment, does anybody really know what's going on? Even in what you call your body. Do you know what's going on in somebody else's body? Do you know what's going on the planet? Do you know what's going on in this galaxy or in the universe? We don't have a clue. And yet, we have a bunch of opinions and judgments. And of course, we can't see, like it's most likely that the sun will come up, or the earth will turn and it'll look like the sun's coming up. For sure.
So it's only surrender to what is.
See, it sounds nice, but who would do that?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, what true surrender means is recognizing that there is nobody to surrender.
Yeah.
This idea that there's someone that can surrender or not is, again, part of the whole illusion.
Yeah. So what are you doing, Isaac?
It's like, I could say there's just like a recognition that life is doing its dance. And within that, it's like, everything's just happening and nothing is happening. Like sunlight turns into plants and animals eat the plants, and then humans eat the plants and the animals. So that sunlight turns into plants and animals and humans and like a few minerals and water and stuff, and it's just a cycle. This just goes round and round, and in the lifespan, even if you live 120 years, it's nothing. It's just like, and all the things that seem important and it seems so terribly upsetting. I mean, wow. Just painted on a canvas of eternity, you know, it's like,
Wait a moment. Okay. Isaac, can you speak again?
sure,
Mm.
yeah. I thought this, I thought that, I felt this, I felt that, and what in the end, it's all just, it's nothing.
Mm.
Movements.
Mm.
So attention either gets caught up in all the projections that happen and all, you know, or it remains resting at its source. And how does that happen? It seems to me that, you know, when it keeps running after the content of awareness, the sensations, the interpretations of sensation, experiences, the interpretation of, and when it keeps running after that stuff, it's endless. It's endless and it's suffering. And so with luck, maybe an inquiry starts and the tension starts to rest and all of that stuff becomes unimportant, uninteresting, unless it becomes interesting again. So then attention runs after it.
And who knows this?
Yeah, somehow it's seen, you know, it's like somehow a baby's born and learning to walk happens and like mama, papa, whatever those things happen. How does all that happen? And we find ourselves here, yeah. Wow, what do we know?
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Boy. Mm.
The sense of me, the sense of doership, I mean, it starts to get very thin and it's just like, okay, life is expressing itself like this. When there's something automatic and unconscious playing, there's no choice, it just does its dance, and then maybe it gets seen at some point and it comes some, you know, the energy tied up in that particular mechanism falls away, and then there's more energy for just being quiet and enjoying. Yeah.
You speak from my heart. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, thanks for sure.
Thank you, Isaac. Hmm.
Liliana.
Hi everybody.
Hi. Anything you want to speak?
Just, I feel like am meeting you. This is my sense of it as the emptiest I've ever been. And there's like a coolness coming through the system. It started like with the front and it just keeps on. Just then some anger was obvious, that's rising or was being seen. But am I right? How do you read me?
No, it's not so important about reading and all that stuff, because it's
Right.
you know, to me it's the only thing really to be empty of is believing in the sense of I.
Not there yet. but the body was, the system was.
Yeah, it's getting quieter. I can feel it.
Empty,
Yeah,
quieter,
yeah.
But the mind,
And yeah, so then the mind plays and it does its dance. It's okay.
lovely.
Yeah.
It's okay. I love that. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you. Inga. Oops.
Hi.
Hi, Inga.
There's such discomfort in my body, and also reluctance to sit with it and to sit with you, because then it's there.
Yeah.
There's a tendency to suppress it or to do stuff to not feel it
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
get rid of it.
So I understand that is I could say very usual. That's how our systems respond. So it's good to go really slowly with it, not make it into like I have to sit with it or something like that. Just, you notice, wow, there's discomfort and there's a wanting to get away. So you just gently noticing, just like you did. Just beautiful. And then if there's a little bit of a curiosity, then it's like, okay, follow what is curiousness then? So here we are. Okay, there's something happening. We have no idea where it's coming from. There's the sensations of this moment, which always get interpreted through our conditioning and our trauma load and stuff like this. So, there's just, it's like in terms of, you think back a couple of years ago to now, the amount of pressure on everybody to take a position it's like, it's immense at the moment. It's huge. And very tricky to get clear information, and people are losing work, and I mean, so much going on, and lockdowns after lockdowns and all this crazy stuff, and not, it's a lot that's going on. It's not for me, tuning into the frequency of the field of the humanity at the moment is not a comfortable field. It's really so. The tendency is to take it personal and think, there's something going on with me that I feel so uncomfortable. But I'd say we just at the moment in a super uncomfortable field as a species. But that might be my interpretation. So.
Yeah, here it feels like it, or because I've got this job, which is still quite new, and I love doing it. And while I'm doing it, I feel great. I'm fine. I focus, like, yes, I'm relaxed. And as soon as it's finished, this response comes, like, well, I don't even and I know
that makes total sense. When our mind is focused on doing, there's not much space for anything else. And that's why, people like to stay busy, because then there's no room for noticing. And that's also one of the functions of thinking. As long as our mind is, our thinking is revved up, so to speak, there's no. So in you, somehow, your system has gotten more fine noticing, and so it notices, wow, actually, there's a drive to get busy, to get away from discomfort. So it's noticed. It's not just, it doesn't go automatically like that. It doesn't just automatically find itself in doing to avoid. So that's, in some ways it's inconvenient because it is uncomfortable, but at the same time, to whatever extent, curiosity arises just to play and explore, then you see what happens from that. So
ready to shift since we sat together.
Yeah.
Because it was more contained in the body, and now it's more like connected.
Everywhere.
Yeah. Everywhere.
Yeah.
I almost feel like saying like, sorry everyone for unloading it onto you.
Oh, sweetheart, you're so welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So many threads, going on at the moment. It's just, it's a lot for most nervous systems, I tell you. It's in my view, it's just, I live in a pretty mellow part of the world, but man, when I feel what's happening in the world, judging by all, like the videos that are going on the rounds of the alternative media, it's huge what's going down. I don't know how it is in Holland at this time, but yeah, just worldwide.
They cancelled my 3-day festival.
Yeah, like that, and then information comes in. I think many people are starting to realize that the story that we've been getting isn't the whole story by any means. There's been a lot of fudging of numbers, a lot of, it's a huge business, the industry, and they use those billions to buy. The media at this point, in my view, is completely bought. And so,
Yeah, I disagree here, but
okay, maybe, yeah, it's no problem. I just see it, it's like when Facebook and Google have become the, like who tells you what's true or not. That's a bit of a, and Wikipedia, like the end here. So maybe there are some independent news channels, but from what I'm seeing, it's just, it's crazy what's going on.
yeah, here, like for me, there's more concern about the climate crisis, like the bushfires everywhere, floods, all that. Like
All
it's
of that,
becoming
yeah.
more clear in the Western world now that there's actual climate crisis. Yeah, I feel more like, yeah.
There's so much, that's the thing. Inge. I mean, it's just like you start scratching what's going on with the climate, and you see, okay, it's like we can say there's definitely a way of being out of tune with nature. No doubt about it. Then you start going down that and go, okay, what's all involved in that? And then, it's like, it's just, you start to scratch into any of the things. You see, like these days, almost everybody has got 100 chemicals in their body that didn't even exist 50 years ago. There are, like the amount of unwell people there are on the planet at the moment is humongous. It's like, so we're living out of balance in a way. And yeah, how do we come back into balance? Yeah. It's huge. And you see, it's not only looking in our consciousness to see the participation, what's going on. You could say I could say individually, but I would say it's more like, where's our conditioning orientating a certain way of living that's out of tune, and then how do we translate that into what we buy, what's important to us, all of that stuff. And at the same time, like you, wanting to address it on a bigger scale. I understand it, man. And then, once you get money involved in politics, what happens to politics? What happens to, I mean, you see it. It doesn't matter which way you look at it from. There's a way of functioning that is not how can I say,
Nurture.
sustainable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think we have to agree on anything or disagree on anything. I think we can just look, man, the way we're functioning as a species can't continue. It cannot.
It won't.
It won't. It won't. It won't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Thank
we're in a time where some deep questions are arising. It's like people are looking at it and saying, okay, I see that there's, we're facing extinction events. We're facing, perhaps the end of the human species. We just, depending on who you read or which climate scientists you follow, it's like, man, it's dire. And then it's like, okay, here we are. Cool. Now, people are asking, what action should I take? What? It's like, is there anything I can do? Or, is there something? Or there's so many questions at the moment. It's such a big time. So, watching.
Yeah. And it's interesting because now I also feel such gratitude.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm aware I'm so lucky just where, I was born and where I live
Yeah.
and family and
Yeah.
the comfort.
And also just the fact that there's a capacity to keep quiet at moments.
Yeah.
Man, that is a luck.
Yeah.
Not be completely caught up in the whole drama. It's like, yes, of course I'm here and what I can do and what is possible. How can I meet people beautifully? How can I keep inviting another possibility? Wow. If that's even in your consciousness, that's lucky.
Yeah.
And then the practical solutions, my God, and that's on another scale completely. It's like, my God. Yeah. So how to count our blessings and at the same time, be congruent, be in integrity, be, it's like all of that. It's just. See, when I was talking about the media, to me, we've got this perfect storm of where money influences political decisions that and the media is used to get, like, I think a lot of news isn't news, it's spin. And, whether you believe that or not. So to me, the media are implicit in many different ways. And if you look it up, you can see that the super big corporations actually own most of the TV stations and most of the media, the big newspapers, all Hollywood. So it's an interesting system. It's like, when I say I don't trust the media, that's what I'm talking about. I think there might be a few. You see what happened to Julian Assange. I mean, my God, it's like, what times do we live in that a human being
I
exposes?
understand that and I see that as well. But I also think, at least in Holland, and that's there's some really good research journalism. And they're actually, like, our cabinet fell because of, like, our government fell because of what journalists found out, and two members of parliament who were really, like, going against their party's will. And so I don't want to say the media, because I do think we've got some, and I think it's important to focus on it because they've got an important role to check on what the government's doing. But I think, and I also see a lot of spin and not enough. Yeah.
So, you know, in Holland might be a little bit different than other places. I say the media in Australia is completely corrupt. The
Yeah.
media in America, sure, you know, and many other countries, it's not all like Holland, I can assure you.
No, and I'm not saying everything's like peachy here, but yeah, I just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting times. It's really like, how do we find how to navigate? Because, you know, we have the same interest. I think if we look at it, almost every human just simply wants to be at peace.
Hmm.
There's not that much difference on that level. But then, you know, you get people that want to be at peace going to war with each other. Why? Someone beat a drum. Look at the Second World War. Guys that guys or people that would, in other circumstances, share a drink, go to a dance together, you know, get down together, standing in trenches, shooting each other. My God, how did that happen? It starts with labels, vaxxer, anti-vaxxer. I mean, then you've got a schism right there. And then blaming and shaming. And, we're watching the same stuff happening now again.
Yeah,
It's tried and
interesting,
tested.
yeah. Even in yourself, you
it's
have
tried.
to have opinions about everything or about so many things, and they have to be kind of consistent.
Exactly.
But why?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then you start believing in it, and it's, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just looking where, you know, something is functioning. It's like pushing people to polarize and to take a position and to be righteous and all that stuff. And yet we have the same interests at heart. We just all would love to be at peace and to meet each other beautifully, if it was possible, within our trauma and pattern load. Yeah. And the moment there's disagreement, how quickly it goes into feeling hurt, feeling not seen, feeling not honored, feeling not respected. I mean, so it's an opportunity for all those, you could say, those movements to start getting it consciously, gently, not believing in them, just, okay, I see you here, different perspectives, no big deal.
Mm.
That's to me where it starts to get peaceful in me. If it starts to get, you know, where it starts to go into a war inside myself is when it's, you know, them and us and all this stuff. Yeah. Just
Yeah.
not interested in that.
I think earlier you said something about, I don't know exactly, but about like memory, that's just nothing, ideas or whatever you were asked. And all of a sudden I could see how much like certain memories have become like stories, like that's a pattern and that's why and that's what I need. And because when in my childhood, in my family, so even the,
all of that, yeah.
like I'm happy I'm aware of patterns playing, but it can also become a story of some, that's why I am this way or why I need this, or like it becomes a thing.
Yeah.
Is that
And
like,
beautiful,
who knows?
even that, even that's starting to get seen.
Yeah.
That's so far out. That's so beautiful. You know, it's like, wow, we don't stop anywhere. We just, we know we want to meet each other beautiful. That's enough. We want to meet each other in a way that just not only nurtures our own hearts, but nurtures each other. Anything else, I mean, I'm not interested in.
Mm.
Yeah. Just simple, resting together, just feeling this sweet flow happening. I mean, what a beautiful contribution to this moment. It's just, to me, it's about as simple as that. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and being able to honor each other's journeys, whatever it is. I mean, I have no idea, all the, you could say, all the information that's driving how life lives itself as you. All I know is that to honor that or not honor it. And if I don't honor it, then there's a price that gets paid, quite a heavy price that gets paid.
Thank you.
Thanks, Inga. Yeah. Thank you for your passion about what's happening on the planet. Yeah.
Yeah. Just happening.
Yeah. Esther.
Hello.
Hi, Eva.
Just love to be quiet with you. Yeah, I'm very busy in my mind at the moment because I'm leaving for some dance retreat in 1 or 2 hours. And
Fantastic. Yeah. Enjoy.
yeah, but it's the pattern to keep the mind busy. Ah, what will happen and whom will I meet? Blah blah blah. Do I have everything? Will it be good? It's just funny to watch this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mm. Ah, it's so good. It's like drinking from the deep well.
Beauty. Yeah.
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 And it's always there, this well.
Indeed. 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 And just taking a few moments to really let it, to take a deep drink. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Beauty.
That's wonderful.
Sandra.
Hello, Isaac and everyone.
Hi. Hi, Sandra.
Without I, the questions are running out.
Yeah. Yeah. And it seems to move from communicating to communion.
Yes, yes. Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
No separation, just flow and love and beauty.
yeah, yeah. It's very wonderful, and less and less identifications, and even if they happen, it's seen much more quicker than and
Yeah.
yeah. Like always when the light comes in, it's like the whole universe, it's here, it's everything here.
Mm.
So thank you so much.
Oh, man. Mana.